Okay, so I'm getting set up for my electrolysis to clean the rust off the collets. So what we've got here is our regular table salt, white vinegar, some jugs of water. This just happens to be distilled water, doesn't really matter. I don't have running water in the shop, and it actually costs less to buy these 4 gallons than it did to buy something to move water from the house down to here. Probably could have used any number of things, but I was there at the store. It was quick and easy. This is just some water that I've heated that I'll be able to dissolve the salt in. And I'm doing something a little different over here than what I've seen a lot of people do. What I've got is the collets in these stainless steel colanders. And my thought is that I can connect these electrically, put the sacrificial steel in the electrolyte solution. And just because this is all metal, that these should be able to conduct well and hopefully clean all of those without having to thread them all through wire and hang them in solution and other such things like you see a lot of the other videos do. I've never seen a video do this, and I thought it'd be an interesting way to try it. It'd be very nice for doing small parts in batches as well. So we'll take a look at this and see how it's going. So over here I've got my battery charger, and you can see it's indicating this battery back here is sulfated, which is actually a good thing. These modern battery chargers, these smart chargers, will not put out current unless there is a battery attached. A lot of the electrolysis videos show the old style battery chargers without the automatic feature. Those will put out current in just an electrolyte solution. These new ones won't. Having a bad battery that never gets charged ensures that this charger continually puts out juice, and what we're going to do is basically just wire this tank in between the battery and the charger. This will provide the constant load that will allow the charger to keep outputting current. So I'm going to get this wired up and then cover how this is done, and we'll come back in the next segment. Okay, I hope you'll forgive the shakiness. As you see, I've got my battery wired in, my colander set, connected battery charger there. We're going to mix up our electrolyte, which is basically just some salt and water. Now, technically speaking, you could get a perfect ratio, and you can look up formulas on how to do this. But really, you just need enough salt in there to conduct electricity. So you could check it with a meter. There's other ways to go about doing this, but you can kind of play it by ear. If you see bubbles coming off, it works fine. So that, and the vinegar. Obviously, I have a gallon of vinegar. You don't need a gallon. You only need enough to turn the solution acidic, which is not that much vinegar at all. Quarter cup maybe in this entire vat that's going to go in. The rest is just going to be water. But vinegar is just so cheap that I use it for cleaning other things around the shop, rust removal, whatever. So we've got our vinegar here. So once our salt is dissolved, we're going to put our salt water in here and add our gallons of water and some vinegar and turn the power on. And things should be going pretty good. So I'll come back once that's dissolved and we've added all of the ingredients to our soup here, and we'll see what's going on. Well, I have to say I'm pretty impressed so far. As you can see, the water already has a tint to it. It was, of course, clear when it first went in. This has only been running about 10 minutes. As you can see, I have some parts that are above the water line. I had accounted for the holes in the handle here and had a little bit of a spill that I had to mop up and then lower the water level a little bit. I also added an electrode on the opposite side to distribute the forces a little bit. I noticed that the current and the electricity was, of course, making the shortest path over here. This side wasn't really getting much, so adding an electrode over here, and now I'm getting some more bubbles on this side. Probably be good to put one on each end as well to distribute the current across the entire bath. But this does seem to be working pretty well. I'm going to let this go for a while, and then, of course, the ones that are sticking up will have to be redone later. But we'll pull the bottom ones out and see how they look. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours. And as you can see, a considerable amount of, scum, I guess we'll call it, has built up. Let's go ahead and pull one of these out of here and see what we've got. I specifically pulled one that was sitting partially in and partially out. As you can see, where it was in, that rust is gone, basically. Look at the face even, if we can focus on that. Yeah, that is taking everything off of these. That's going great. I am really, really happy with that setup. So here we have the goo that was left over from the electrolysis process. And I'm going to come over and show you the collets that we pulled out of here. Look at this. How great that looks. This is absolutely amazing. This is nothing more than taking them out of this electrolysis bath. I wiped them down with a little bit of WD-40. You do have to do something to prevent flash rusting after electrolysis, but I am absolutely astounded. You know, if you remember, some of these were just literally caked in rust. Literally caked in rust. This came out amazingly good. Just kind of glance over these here. Hopefully you can get a good view of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over to another spot and show you what I did next to take them one step further. But I mean, as these are shown here, this is literally right out of the electrolysis bath, wiped with WD-40. That's it. I mean, all this rust, you can see what came off of here. I'm going to build a much better formal system. This was just proof of concept right here. Worked great. So let me take you over and show you the next set and what I did after this. Okay, these also went through the electrolysis bath, but what I did is I actually stuck these in the lathe, not in the collet closer, just in the lathe itself. I put the collet closer threaded end that goes here in the 6-jaw, and then I was able to thread these in, and with a little emery paper I was able to get off that little bit that was on there, but it didn't really do much. It polished them up more than anything else, but all the rust and corrosion was taken off the electrolysis bath. So really, for a little extra polishing, this one I didn't hit yet. You can see it's a little rough on the end, but you can see the ones that I did. See how smooth and shiny that looks. That was after just some emery cloth in the lathe. So that worked out really good. And then, of course, after this, spray down in WD-40 again. So came out really, really well. I'm very, very pleased with this. This, again here, this one that was heavily corroded. This is no longer corrosion. That's just some of the pitting that was left over from the original corrosion. But it is rust-free. Let's see here. There we go. Maybe you can see that. I can read all the numbers, all the designations, and all the collets. I'm not sure if the lighting will show up in here, but I'm able to read them all. So I'm very, very pleased. I'm going to run the rest of the components for the lathe through the electrolysis process to clean all those up.